Hi guys, Dogre here with a new video, and this video will be my PvP Shadow Priest guide video, and we're going to show you two builds, three builds depending on the time, and I'm going to also show you the 60 planner so you can see what kind of stats you should go for. You will not have the perfect gear, it will never happen, especially if you're a PvPer, especially since you want to rank up and get the better pieces. I'm going to show you how you can find those pieces, and I'm going to show you a pre-bis, so pre-bis for ranking, and then a bis for phase 2 where you're going to be ranked up, rank 11, which is the maximum you can have on this phase. And then we have phase 3 where we are going to get rank 14, which is going to be the best gear possible for PvP. Now, big disclaimer, if you are PvPing, you should be having engineering. I think all of the stuff, all of the gear I'm going to show you can be replaced by engineering stuff. For example, engineering trinkets, engineering head, for example, MC cap, or the sap one. You also have like boots to speed you up. You have also the belt if you want to like remove a root on you. So you have a lot of stuff that you can go for. You also have like reflect trinkets and whatnot, but I'm going to show you what you can get, and then obviously you need to go engineering if you want to get successful at PvP, at least in duels and PGs, because it's too important. And also for raiding, if you're raiding as a shadow priest, you should be able to also have sap charges, because you already have quite low DPS, which is now at the moment average, like I've seen the logs, but that's another discussion maybe for another day. Now, the intro has been long, but let's start right away with the talent section. It's not really that hard. As a priest, you don't have a lot of options for PvP. That makes sense, but what you want to go is blackout. Obviously, you don't really need spirit tap. Like spirit tap is something good if you want to like grind, but you could have a dual spec for that, or you could maybe swap a few talents to get like a PvE PvP kind of thing. For example, in PvE, I have 5 out of 5 shadow focus because it gives you 10% hit for free. But obviously in PvP, you only need 3 points. So you have like that 5%, 6%, which you will not get resisted anymore. And you don't need more than that in PvP. You have improved Shadow Word Pain, obviously a very good talent choice because you don't want to spam Shadow Word Pain max rank. But I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks at the end of the video, obviously. I improved Psychic Scream, obviously needed for silence, and then we're going to go for Mind Flay, and obviously you want to have 4 points into Mind Blast. Why? Because Mind Blast is one of the best abilities you can press. What you can do is start any fight basically with a Mind Blast into Shadow Pain into Mind Flay, and then it will come back again after you have a fully channeled Mind Flay. It makes it a 6-second CD, but as you may know, GCD is also there, so you have Mind Blast, then you have Shadow Pain, which is a GCD 1.5 seconds, and then you have a Mind Flay, which is 3 seconds long, and at that point you will have your Mind Blast ready. You could also do a second Mind Flay if you want to slow them still, or you want to stack up Shadow Weaving, which is still a thing that you need to go for, which will add up a lot of DPS over time, and in general is a good talent to have. We have Vampiric Embrace, which I really like. Although, again, you are kind of GCD starved in PvP, you cannot really always have Vampiric Embrace up without losing efficiency. It just is a given. But whenever you're doing a BG, or you're doing AV, or Warsong Gulch, or whatever, having Vampiric Embrace up is very like a lot of like healing that is available to your group. Silence, very important. That makes Shadow Priest actually quite viable in PvP. You have Shadow Reach. I get 3 out of 3 Shadow Reach, which ultimately makes me have a lot of points on Shadow, but I like the reach that I can have on Mind Blast. I understand there is a school of people that think the Shadow Reach is not that good, which I understand, because Mind Flay is already a very low yard range spell. So obviously 20 yards, getting 20% increase on that, it's only going to add you 5 yards. excuse me, 4 yards. Oh my god, I cannot even count anymore. So it will be 24, while your Mind Blast has 30, which will get then 6 yards more. So you will not be able to do a Mind Blast into Mind Flay combo if you're very far. But again, you can start the fight with a Mind Blast. He will just automatically come onto you if it's a warrior or a rogue. So you will be able to mind flay. But the one thing that is kind of treacherous is if you're playing versus casters, you actually want to be quite close, because then you will be able to mind flay, and you could also like trick people to interrupt you if you're like doing a rank 1 mind flays. You can like try to fake cast, and it's quite effective at that as well. So again, it's like something you need to know, and not necessarily something that you can really learn from a video like this. You need to like experience in PvP and see for yourself how it works. We have darkness, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, obviously. And then we have Shadowform, which is quite clunky to use, because again, every time you're going to use a holy spell, it's going to remove Shadowform, and it costs a lot of mana to reapply. But it's still like a huge value spell, like a lot of damage for shadow damage increase, so 15%, but also reducing physical damage done to you by 15%. Plus you have your inner fire, which is going to help you to survive a lot of the physical damage dealers, for example, rogues and warriors. Hunters is like a tricky situation where they can just like range you, but that's another problem, and depends on your engineering to do well. Now, the difference between the two other builds is that Shadow will most likely stay like this, and except if you're like really just grinding in open world, you might just remove Shadow Reach and go for Spirit Tap, maybe 2 points or whatever, to get that Spirit Tap from time to time. So you could like farm in open world without any problem. But I think the thing that is pretty standard is that you need Unbreakable Will. Being able to resist a stun of fear or a silence will help you in PvP, like no matter what. It is RNG, you could also never resist anything, that can happen, but the likeliness to never have that is quite low. 15% is quite big, so it means that if someone does a kidney shot on you or a sheep shot, you could resist it, and makes you maybe win the duel or like encounter more likely. I actually do like that. Then I think Martyrdom is kind of a no-brainer, because getting crit will give you focus casting, which prevents you from losing casting time when taking damage, and increases resistance to interrupt effects. So for example, a warrior crits on you, you get Martyrdom, they might pummel you on a cast, but it will not work 20% of the time. So it is quite good, and obviously having like pushback effects to be prevented is very strong for Mind Flay, because Mind Flay is something that is very easy to interrupt by just hitting you. Then there is a choice. Like I said, there's variation depending on who you're playing with. If you're playing with another priest that is healing, for example, he'll most likely have improved power word, Fortitude 2 out of 2, which gives you a bit of a stamina boost. And then you would then go for 2 points into improved power word shield, then inner focus, meditation, and you could go for the 3 improved inner fire, especially versus warriors and rogues and hunters. That is going to be very effective. It's going to give you a lot of armor for free, pretty much. I think you gain 500 armor if you take improved inner fire, compared to what you would have with your normal inner fire. But if you're like solo playing, I mean, if you don't have a healer with you, it would be like this. If you have a healer with you, you would then spend that point into improved power word shield for a 5% increase, which is not too bad. It's actually like one of your defensives. Like it's a shield that you can apply while you are in shadow form. It's not going to remove shadow form. It's still going to be very effective. It's going to be preventing you also to get pushback effects. If you want to heal yourself, you kind of need to do a power word chill on you and then heal and hope that it doesn't break while you're healing. But there's also a second train of thought behind, I would say, this build. There's a second build where you could say, look, maybe I don't really care about improving inner fire because my problems are mages, warlocks, other priests, balance druids if they exist in PvP. I mean, there are moonglow spec most likely, but anyways, elemental shamans if you're like versus a horde in your alliance. You might think that healing focus actually is very worth it, and I'm okay with that as well. I think the giving you interrupt effects reduction on healing spells is actually very good. So it means that you can flash heal in front of their face and still be able to pull it off. You don't need to do a power word shield every single time to do so. It is again a high value talent. Unfortunately, it's in the holy tree. If it was on the discipline tree, I think we would take it every single time. So there is that build. So that would be this build. So you would have 2 out of 2 fortitude, power word shield, martyrdom, and you still have inner focus and meditation. And then you would have healing focus. You could also say, look, I don't really care about meditation. I don't really care about improved fortitude or improved power word shield. I maybe want to all in onto holy so I can get maybe spell warding for a bit. That is possible, but inner focus is too important to not take, in my opinion, especially for bigger heals. If you have time to do a big heal on you, a greater heal, it's always good to do inner focus on yourself before you're doing it, so you still have mana without any issues. But yeah, that's one of the things that you can do. I do think like holy has no real place in PvP with shadow because you are losing a lot of stuff. For example, unbreakable will, improved improved shadow word, power word shield, martyrdom, inner focus. But for example, if you would say, look, I don't care about unbreakable will for some reason, and you want to have a shadow holy spec, why not? You would then take maybe 3 out of 5 holy specialization into spell warding, 5 out of 5, and then maybe holy nova, why not, for the occasional set F farm that you could do without any issues. And then you could also say, look, I want to have blessed recovery, so I am a bit more tanky as well. And then you can maybe spend those 4 points into unbreakable will or whatever you want to do. The only thing is that I'm not playing like this. I do not really like that. I really like the discipline tree, and it's really easy for me to get a lot of value with it. So those are the builds I would show you without any problems. And I think this one is probably the most versatile one. You could also say, look, I can lose 1 point in shadow reach, so I have, for example, another point into improved power word shield. You could also say, look, I want to lose every single point into I cannot do that. No, I cannot do that. I'm gonna lose those 2 points into shadow reach and then get 2 points into improved mana burn, so I could also mana burn effectively. You are also in Shadowform whenever you're doing that, and good thing is it is a shadow damage, so it is improving as well. So if you're in Shadowform and you're doing mana burns, it does more damage, but obviously it has a long cost time, and ideally you're not costing it for damage, you're costing it to people, so you don't really care about the damage that you're doing. So that's kind of the theory behind it. But I would say most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I play like this, and it works perfectly well for me. Again, you could also say, look, I want to lose shadow reach, and you could go for 2 points into healing focus, so you have the best possible compromise. I would say the best possible I would say midway between all the builds, but again, then you're losing something for it. So for any build, you always will be losing something in return of more healing, more efficiency, more range, more defenses. Those are all things that you need to account for. So I would say this build is probably the best one in BGs because you don't really care about healing focus, because if you're focused anyways, you have a healer maybe behind you, and if you don't, a 1v3 will be very difficult anyways, especially as a shadow priest, because you don't have a lot of CC possibilities except whenever they're very close to you, which often is not the case. So again, I think this is quite good. Now let's talk about 60 upgrades. I am showing you how to create a gear set. Okay, so how does it work? Okay, I have my characters here. I don't really care about how they named, so I go for Toshat, for example. So I have this one. This is my character that I made Biz, for example. This one is not phase 1, unfortunately. What you need to do is then create set. Then you have your create set. You do PvP, for example. So we have the set PvP. Then you are going to do your talent specialization, which is shadow, and then you're going to do phase 2. Now, phase 2, if you're just leaving like this, you are going to have a very, very weird gear set where it's practically not possible to get because it's either rank 14 or it has raid like world bosses, which unfortunately not everyone can have loot for that. Like, it's not like SOD where you have instances. That's not possible here. So what you would do is then rank PvP, max rank PvP, you should do 0. If it's a prebis, it should be 0. So I'm going to show you the prebis, how you make a prebis for yourself and the equivalency points and how it works. What you also want to do is the sources. You want to remove world bosses. I think reputation you should also remove if it's a prebis, because you will not have AV and you will not have Warsong Gulch, so you should also remove it. But once you have your reputation up, once you have done a lot of PvP, you will have AV stuff and you will also have Warsong Gulch stuff if you want to. You have BOEs, you have crafting, you have quests, you have dungeons, you have PvP and raid. PvP will be a non-factor because we did max PvP rank 0, and that is the good start. Okay, we're going to keep Molten Core and Onyxia because I assume you're also raid in vanilla. If you don't raid, then good luck with like having some decent pieces at phase 1, because then it will be only dungeons and those pieces are far and between like efficient. So one thing you need to know, equivalency points, is that it has, I'm going to say there are presets. If you don't want to like think too much, you can do Shadow EP, and then you will see that it's actually very PvE oriented. You have spell damage, so it means that if you have spell damage on your gear, it will be 1 point. So if it's like 20, if you have 20 spell damage, it will have 20 EP, and it will count like this. If, for example, you have 20 spell damage on the item and you have 20 intellect, it will be counted as 20 EP plus 20 times 0.04 intellect, and that will be the intellect times 20 because it's 20 intellect, and that will be the amount of EP you will have. So it will be around, I don't know, man, I cannot really calculate very efficiently whenever I'm like not live streaming but recording, but like for example, if you have 1% hit, it would be 10 EP basically. But what you want to do is actually create your own, okay? Because PvP, you want stamina. Stamina is super important, and you don't really necessarily want like to chase shadow EP, like shadow damage or spell damage, because that's like efficient, but you don't have a lot of efficient gearing from those pieces at phase 1. So what you want to do is the name, so I will say PvP. It doesn't matter previous or not because it will be the same, and you want to add stats. What you want to add is stamina. Stamina is very important, and you will have to add a realistic EP. What I currently do is, what I currently do is 0.5, for example, or 0.5. So if you have 20 stamina, it will add 10 AP pretty much, which is not bad. And so you have a realistic way of calculating AP, because then they will not try to show you every single time agility items just because it has a lot of stamina. If you put like 2, it will make it too important, so you will have a lot of tanking pieces or a lot of strength pieces with a lot of stamina, which is not really something you want in general. I know it's not really a priest guide here, but I try to also help you guys to create your own pre-bases. Maybe for you stamina is a bit more important, maybe intellect is more important for you. Those are things that you need to think about. So intellect is also quite important, and I want to try to get stamina intellect pieces. Now it's not always possible, but that's why I'm going to put a 0.75 and see for myself how it works. You can always change whenever you want to. Again, I try to do it while like streaming, like not streaming but recording. What I would do is take my time and adjust it as much as I can so I can have the best possible gear without thinking too much about the gear pieces. Spirit is not really needed in PvP. You're going to get but you're not going to get that quickly. And it's a non-factor because you don't have Spirit up either, so it doesn't really matter too much. You have spell damage and you have obviously shadow spell damage. You need to have both because some pieces have shadow damage, so those should be equal. I'm going to have a good AP. I'm going to start with 1, but it's because I have in mind that you don't have a lot of items with a lot of spell damage, so it's not going to overwrite everything. Actually, I think I'm going to try to follow the same guideline as intellect. So intellect and spell damage should be the same, plus minus. And if I feel like they give too much of an advantage, then I'll be also adapting that as well. Healing is also okay for shadow damage, shadow priest, because again, you want to hit good pieces and efficient pieces. Some pieces are really efficient at what they do, and especially for phase 1, you're not going to run a lot of spell damage, but what you want is actually at least healing damage, like healing spell damage, healing spell power. If you have that, you can survive all of the damage because you have maybe more efficiency on your healing, and that will be enough. But that will be also quite low for me. It's going to put a 0.2. Why? Because I don't want to overtake spell damage, but also I don't want to like say it has no EP. It has some EP to a certain extent. Crit is interesting, but not that interesting for Shadow Priest. I think people are like overestimating a bit because you have only one spell that can crit, which is Mind Blast. Your Mind Flay can't crit. Your Shadow Pain cannot crit. You're not going to spam smites. You're not going to spam holy fires. You're not going to spam healing as well. So you're not going to spam greater heals. You're not going to spam flash heals. So it's not really a factor, but it still has some factors. So I'm going to put a 0.5 EP. But we all know there will be one spell power, for example. One spell crit, it's going to count for 0.5 EP pretty much. You can do that to have more of a precise way of calculating your damage, for example. You don't need hit, so hit is not going to get any AP because you have already 6 through your talents like I showed you, and that's it. Those are the 6 stats that I would go for if you are looking for EP. Now, you can double a few things because it doesn't really matter, because it's like you put here 1 and here you can put 1.5. It's not going to change too much, but it will just grow your EP points. You don't need to have like a equivalency point of 1000 because it's relative between the stats you're going to choose. So if you double everything just for clarity, you can do that as well. So I'm going to do that real quickly for you guys to show you that it will be the same pretty much. I'm going to copy paste this because really it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do that, add this, and we are good. So pretty much we're going to have a good number on EP, not going to be too big because it doesn't really matter pretty much because it's relative to each other, and we're going to start right away. So we have the equivalency points ready, we have the filters ready because you don't want to have world bosses items because you're not going to get it most likely. A reputation either. If you think you're going to get world bosses and any items, please do press it, but it's most likely not going to happen. Unpress every single raid because it's phase 2, so it doesn't really matter. You have Molten Core and Onyxia, and that's it. And professions, again, like I said, it doesn't really matter. We have max PvP rank 0, and we can start right away. So we're going to create, and this is going to be your screen at the start. What you're going to do is pretty much very easy. You're going to autofill, and then you're going to fine-tune it depending on the pieces you're going to see on the EP. Some EP are going to be a bit like inflated, some are going to be deflated, depending on what you want, depending on what your needs. You're going to be able to adjust it however you want. So I'm going to autofill. I have already set everything, so it's easy. I'm going to autofill right now, and this is going to be the result. Some pieces are very hard to get, so I'm going to swap, and you're going to see why I'm going to do that. You see, my health is really low, so we have 3.1k health, and that's not something I want. But there are a few pieces where I say, oh, okay, it makes sense to have it. For example, Anathema, I have it as well. It makes sense to have it. It's a really good piece. Spellweaver's Turban, if you can get it, why not? But what you could do is also something called taking PvE pieces that are maybe not relevant for Shadow Priest, but they are very relevant for PvP. For example, Circlet of Prophecy, which is 17 stamina, really not bad. Or you can get, if you're lucky, High Halo of Transcendence, which is quite the same stats-wise, like a 27 intellect, 17 stamina both. One it has a bit more spirit, one has a less resistance, and this one has a lot of healing done, but this has more of damage done. So it depends on what you want. If you want to be able to do damage and healing, you would get Circlet of Prophecy. If you don't really get you don't really care about that, but you want to have more healing spell done, you can get Halo of Transcendence. So for me, for example, I would be either taking the Crimson Felt Hat if you can have it. If you can have it, it's still okay as a previous. If you are doing raiding, that this is a previous PvP, so you would say, oh, how can it be previous Halo of Transcendence, because it's raiding and it's like the best for raiding. That's okay, but in PvP this is a previous because you want to actually have rank 10 or rank 11 or rank 14 gear at one point. So we're going to take Halo of Transcendence because I already have it, so for me it's going to be easier to have. For example, the Choker of Firelord is very hard to get. I'm not gonna lie, chances are you're not going to get it. So what is the alternative? So you can look piece per piece and see for yourself, like, what would be the ideal piece for me, which is realistic for me to get. This is like kind of best for me. Choker of the Firelord, if you can have it, this is a best until a very long time. You could also say, look, maybe I actually want to have a bit more stamina, and this is a good like piece that you could probably soft reserve or get it pretty easily in your raids or in your loot console, because you can justify it for PvP. You could also say, look, I can get it in Dire Maul, Beast of Ogre Mojo, which is actually not that bad. It's actually a very good piece. So this would be the previous for phase 2, if you can get it. This one is actually very hard to get. It's a good one, but it never drops. Like Victus never drops any item for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's only a phase 2 thing. I don't know. You could also say, look, I want to maybe have more stamina. You could also have the Baroness Anastari necklace. But I would say the two pieces that you can get previous-wise, and it's quite easy to get, it's Beads of Ogre Mojo or Choker of Enlightenment. So for the exercise, let's take Beads of Ogre Mojo because it has the same stamina, a bit more intellect, and it has also some spell damage onto it, which is quite good. Mantle of Prophecy, you see, it's a PvE piece. And it's not the best piece ever, but it has actually 13 stamina, which is really respectable. It's actually a very good piece as well, because it has damage and healing. You could also say, look, maybe I want to have the Tuzadin Mantle, which is also possible from Baron Rivendare. It's, in my opinion, the same. Like, this one is a grind, you can get it if you want to. But this one is more versatile because you will have more mana. So I will keep this one as a piece. Saffron Drape, I'm not gonna lie, this is a best piece. Like, if you can get it, that's perfect. This one is quite expensive if you can have Height of the Wild. It's also a quite good piece for Shadow Priest, even though it has no spell damage. It's still going to be relevant for a priest because you're also going to be able to heal, but you also want to have the stamina and the intellect. And some pieces have like low stamina, low intellect. For example, Sprite Caster Cape, which is what I have, is not ideal because it is not that great stamina wise. So I would say if you can have any piece that can give you a bit of stamina, I would go for that. For example, the Dire Maul cloaks are quite good. For example, Cloak of the Cosmos has stamina, intellect, and healing done is also increased. Or you can get like a more greedy build where you're going to have a cloak with no stamina. That's like a decision you can make. You could also say, look, I want to have a lot of intellect. Why not royal tribal cloak? And that is something you can fine tune whenever you can, whenever you want. Fireproof cloak, actually very easy to get. Nobody's going to need that, but that's going to be a very good one for you to be able to wear in PvP, because again, spell damage is overestimated in phase 1. You don't want to run a 400 shadow damage build because you're going to lack a lot of stamina, and stamina is what you're going to have, and at least you want and you need to be able to survive all of the damage. So I would say for a previous, I would definitely go for Cloak of the Cosmos. If you can buy and you have the money, Height of the Wild. If you're able to do Onyxia and you would get it, this is your best. So I would say for a previous, let's start with Cloak of the Cosmos, but ideally you want to have the Saffron Drape, obviously. Alana's Embrace, impossible to get, guys. Like, literally, you can farm it if you want to. It's a very good PvP piece. Like, it has 20, 20, 20. So 20 intellect, 20 spirit, and 20 stamina. and it has even 20 spell damage, but it never drops. Like, it says 0.2%, and that's an estimate. I haven't seen it once. So not even in 2019, not even in 2024 right now. So right now it's a no-go. So it's already like something I know will pop up whenever I'm going to put some EP. It's a very fantastic piece. Like PvP EP, it has 88, which is like, again, really strong. What you would get, what you can get, and what is easy to get is the Robe of Everlasting Knight. It has 13 intellect, 11 stamina, damage and healing done by magical spells effect by up to 27. That's a very good EP PvP build that you can take. You can take this one and you are going to be good. But if you can say and you have the money, Flare Core Robe is a lot of stamina. Like this, you're going to like the intellect, but you don't like too much intellect, and it has the benefits of having spell damage, and it has like fire resistance, which is not that relevant, but again, stamina is king. 35 is like 350 health, which is a lot. If there is a world where you can for some reason get Robe of Volatile Power, which is a more greedy piece of gear you can get, you should get it. Because again, it has some stamina, it has intellect, it has crit, which is not ideal, but if you can crit a Mind Blast, why not? And it has also some spell damage. I would not go for Robe of Winter Knight because it has no stamina. I would not go for Postmaster's Tunic because I never see it drop. And also, I think there are other pieces that are more interesting. For example, what I wear right now is Robes of Prophecy. So I kind of have my Prebis already. Even though it has no spell damage, it has 20 stamina and 27 intellect. So for me, a Prebis would be Robes of Prophecy. Flare Core Robe would be PvP bis kinda until you have like maybe rank 11. Volatile Power is a more greedy one if you can have it, but I would say the easier piece to get if you're like literally healing in raids, you will get a Robes of Prophecy anyways. Like, and especially if you're saying you're PvPing, you're going to get Prio because this is a PvP piece. It has a lot of stamina. Even I'm a Shadow Priest. I got it because I am like literally a PvPer. So they decided to give me because it is not better than the cloak from Baron Reven there in Strat Undead. So Robe's Prophecy, very good one as well. Then you have obviously Sublime Wrist Guards, which are really good wrists. You should get them. It's very easy to get. It's Dire Maul. I think there is nothing else you can add. It has a lot of stamina, 4 wrists, intellect, and also spell damage. You could go also for Embraces of a Prophecy, so you can have like the 3 set. It will just like speed up a bit of your flash heal, but it's not going to be that dramatic. It's kind of the same. I would say this one you can buy if you want to. It's not going to be that expensive. You could also get Necropile Cuffs, but it has no spell damage. But I really like Sublime Wrist Guards, and these ones are very easy to get. Like, just do that. Like, just spam Dire Maul North and you will get it. So it's a good one. Anathema is quite hard to get because it has a gold requirement. It has also the guild requirement where you need to have people wanting to give you. But it's actually a very good one. Like, I have it. Luckily, I won my SR, so I did double SR on Eye of Divinity. And then I did the quest, like I said, on my previous videos. So I really like that, and it's a very efficient one. And if you want to raid, you also have a good like healing weapon as well. So I like that with Benediction as well. If you are unlucky with Eye of Divinity for some reason, Staff of Dominance, if you have a possibility to get, it's actually a very good weapon. I would say for a previous like starter PvP thing, you can get the Rod of the Ogre Magi. It has no stamina or really little stamina, but it has a crit, which is okay, and then you have also some spell damage. And for the other stuff, you don't have too much. You could also get a Sorcerer's Dagger, why not? And then you could have the AV off trinket, the offhand. Once you have the Exalted, why not? You can have that. It's not bad. It's going to be nearly equal to Anathema, but you will lose a lot of stamina for it. But Anathema is like by a long shot still like Bis if you are going to PvP. And also for raiding as well. Like, it's a really good weapon. Then you have the Shadow's Grasp. Shadow Grasp is again a piece that you can have pretty easily. It's 20 spell damage for Shadow, only Shadow unfortunately. Stamina, intellect 14, which is actually not bad. It's actually a very good piece, and the drop rate is very good on Revanchian, so you should get it if you can, and you should just do Dire Mauls. Most likely your guild is going to spam it anyways for the trinket, for example, so just go with them and you're going to get your previous gloves. You could also get the gloves of Hypnotic Flame, but I'm not gonna lie, people are not going to give it to you because it's like written fire spell damage, so they will just give it to mages for eventually down the line to be able to wear it. But realistically, 18 stamina, 19 intellect, 9 spell damage is actually not bad. Like even like EP wise, it's really close to Shadow's Grabs, but this one is very hard to get. Like nobody's going to give it to you. You have to SR it if you want to. There is also a world where you're going to buy Thalclave gloves for more damage, but it has little stamina and no intellect. And that's it. I would really just like keep the Shadow Grabs, and it's also very easy to get, so just do that. The belt, that is a high competition belt. I'm not gonna lie, Mana Igniting Cord is not going to happen, except if you're doing SRs. They're going to give it to mages, most likely. Sash of Whispered Secrets, if you're like a Shadow Priest and you're running with like 2 or 3 warlocks, you have some competition, but it is possible to get, which is not bad. It's 20 stamina, which is a lot. It's the biggest piece that you can have for belt. And you have a lot of spell damage as well, and it has Restore of Health, which is okay. But let's say if you don't get it because you're very unlucky, Girdle of Prophecy is something you can buy, and it's something you can get if you're just raiding. It's not fantastic, but if you say you're a PvPer, they're going to most likely give it to you because it's not really a great piece for healing. You would have easily a better piece in one of other raids, or just a green will give you more healing power. So, for example, Oddly Magical Belt, easy to get. It's Dire Maul North. You will have Gordon Tribute pretty much, and any hunter will be able to give it to you if they are doing it in a raid environment. Belt of the Archmage, I would not bother with it. Bantok Sash is actually not a bad one, and you will have it if you're doing Shadow Priest raiding. You don't really need the hit, but like you need the hit, but you're not like a hit maniac, like for example a mage or a Shadow Warlock is. So I guess that's fine. Tuzadin Sash is also a very good one if you can have it, but like I will say that Girdle of Prophecy is probably the most versatile one if you want to have it. So for now I'm going to put Girdle of Prophecy because the realistic thing is that you're not going to get Sash and you're not going to get Mana Igniting Cord until a bit later down the phase. If you're doing like raids and you get a lot of like the drops going for your casters, you may have it at one point. Flare Core Leggings, I am going to be honest, I think it's not phase 1 because I haven't seen them yet, but it's going to be very expensive. And I'm not gonna lie, I am a very poor guy in at least in the game. Hopefully I can say that. So I will not say that it's a BIS because realistically you're not going to get it, and you will miss a lot of intellect. Intellect is big. So what I want is to look for a piece that I can grind and get it pretty easily. Spirit Shards Leggings, a very good piece. Drops in the beast. You will do a lot of Ubers. Once you have it, it's actually a very, very good piece for damage, intellect, and stamina. So I would go for Spirit Shards Leggings. If you are not going for that, you could also go for a BOE, which is Spell Shock Leggings. You can buy that as well, which is not that bad, but I think it's expensive. You could also say, look, I don't care if it's like no spell damage, but I'm going to get Leggings of Transcendence if I'm doing the Ragnaros, and that's a lot of healing done, which is very good. A lot of stamina as well. You could also say, look, I want to have Pants of Prophecy. One of these two are actually very good one for PvP. And I would say like the easiest piece to get is Pants of Prophecy most likely. But if you can have Leggings of Transcendence, is not bad. So I'm going to go for Science, and Science would do Pants of Prophecy in phase 2. Because this one is actually like very base for Holy Priests. So if you're a Shadow Priest, you're not going to get it, but this one is a bit more doable because you're PvPing, and 22 healings done is not going to be a base for Holy Priest until you have 8 out of 8 set, for example. So that's a good piece if you want to have a pre-base. If you are not raiding, for example, you're doing only dungeons, Spirit Shards Leggings from the Beast is actually a good piece as well. And you could also get Sacred Cloth Leggings it's a BOE, you can buy it as well. If you're grinding, you have money, you can do that. It's going to be also a quite acceptable piece. You see, I have 3.2k HP. I'm going to see and put the buffs that I would have in general, which would be a power word fortitude, and that's it. And inner fire, obviously, and that's it. I don't see Shadowform, so it doesn't matter. So, I don't have it talented on this character, but basically, let's see the boots really quickly. It's going to be a quite long video, I'm very sorry, but hopefully you are with me for watching everything. Dragon Rider's boots, you can get it, it's actually a good piece, but it has like low stamina. Ideally, I'm not gonna lie, you want to have Boots of Prophecy. It has loads of stamina. It's maybe kind of hard because it's actually good, like it's a good boots also for healing, so it's not bad. I have currently Omnicast boots, but it has low stamina, which is not ideal. Malekith foot wipes is very good for spell damage, but again very low stamina. If you compare like Boots of Prophecy with Malekith's foot wraps, you lose spell damage, but you get like a lot of stamina, a lot of intellect, a lot of spirit, which is going to be very useful. Necropower boots is actually not bad. I have it as well. Stamina 15, so you could ideally get that, but it's a lot of grind as well, and you need to be very lucky as well. But I would say to prove my point, I will go for Boots of Prophecy because you don't need a lot of spell damage. Like I said, I have 296. I have double Ring of Spell Power. Like, this is not going to happen in any world in Phase 2, because people are going to share those between the classes, and most likely you're not going to get it if you're like a Shadow Priest. If you are by any chance healing and you get a Cauterizing Bind, it's actually a very, very good ring. It has stamina, intellect, and healing done. It's, again, it looks like a healer like gear pieces, I understand. But you need to understand that for PvP, spell damage is not important right now. What you want is actually to be able to survive. So ideally, you get like a Cauterizing Bind. I think you're not going to get it if you're a Shadow Priest like me. Band of Sulfuros is actually a very good one that not everyone wants, so I'm going to get it. So it's stamina and intellect, which is very good for me. And then, ideally, you get a Underworld Band, which I have. So this is like the easiest thing you can get. You could also say, look, I want to spend two times 40 gold, which is very easy to get as well. So this would be the previous. You would have 20 stamina and 28 shadow spell damage by just buying those two. It's not bad. It's actually not bad. You could also say, look, I want to have a bit more damage. Why not? You can go Sancstone of Ironforge, but it has no stamina, unfortunately. Same for Maiden's Circle. It has no stamina. So there is a trend. Like, you will see me go for stamina instead of anything related to spell damage or healing done, because stamina is the one thing that is going to keep you alive. I have 4.1k without like going hard on stamina, and once I have rank 11, I will be having way more stamina just by having my gear. So we have Briarwood Reed, a very good one. I have it as well. But like I said, if you are engineering, you most likely are going to run engineering trinkets. You have Burst of Knowledge. I personally don't have it. What I have currently is Eye of the Beast. But like I said, you're going to do Dire Maul. Most likely you're going to get Royal Seal of Eldritch Talas, which is again a healing done trinket, which is not bad. So all in all, depends on what you want. Burst of Knowledge, if you can grind it, why not? I really detest doing BRD at the moment. Like, I did it too many times. So now I cannot really do any more one of these things. But if you can get your hands on a Talisman of Ephemeral Power, if you're able to pop it and then you're doing a Mind Blast into a Shadow Word Pain into a Mind Flay, that guy is going to be in a whole world of pain, and it's going to be one of the biggest bursts possible as a Shadow Priest. And then if you're doing a second Mind Blast, most likely that guy is going to be deleted. So if you can get it, why not? The truth is, most likely you're not going to get it, especially if you're doing Loot Console, and they're going to give it to mages or warlocks. but it's fine, right? There's also a world where you're playing with second wind to get the mana. Why not? I have it as well, but that's because I'm also healing sometimes. So ideally, Briar would read with an engineering trinket or double engineering trinket. That's all things that you can consider. Ideally, if you have like loot console in your pocket, why not talisman of ephemeral power? But it is going to be quite hard to get. So those are the things that you can go for. There are also a few trinkets that you can go for. For example, Bar of Peasant Color. I have it as well. It's very good because you can like literally stop people from casting very efficiently because of that. That's why I really like wall PvPing versus mages, because they cannot do anything except Nova them, and that will then open up a possibility for you to not get Nova'd. So I really like that as well. Bone Creeper Stylus. We have also that. The thing is, it doesn't matter really which one you're going to get. You can either choose from a stamina wand from Baron Rivendare, which you can get. It's pretty easy to get, or you're going to get Bone Creeper Stylus, which I haven't seen it yet. I personally have right now Storm Ranger. It has stamina, intellect, and I did the quest, so I have it. And stamina is always king for me, so obviously I'm going to keep it like this to have a realistic thing going on. And this is the previous that you would run. It's actually not that bad. I actually enjoy that right now, and it's a very good one. So take a screenshot. This is the previous. Now we're going to do the BIS PvP. So BIS PvP, how does it work? You do the same. You go for Shadow, and again, I didn't do the talents. If you want to do the talents, you can do it yourself. We did already the first part with talents. You already have a custom, so you're going to do custom shard, toe shard, and then you're going to do previous. I don't have it. Is it PvP? Yeah, it's PvP. Which one is it? This one? It's this one. Okay. So you have the custom shard. We have the AP made already. Boom. Add. And we have it already. And now you can put rank PvP 11, because that's the maximum you can get right now. I would say also, why not get the sources? Wall bosses is never going to be happening, but reputation is going to be possible to be happening if you're doing PvP only. You're going to get exalted on AV. Warsaw Gulch will take a lot of time, but if you can get it, that's going to open up a lot of great things. For example, wrists. And boom, you can then do create. And then you're going to autofill. And then you're going to autofill again. And the good thing is now you have a lot of pieces that are available to you right now. Obviously, the Ring of Spell Power, I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna change. It's still going to be Underworld banned until you can have better pieces with raids. Unfortunately, you have the Dry's Wrist bindings, which is basically the Warstone Gulch Exalted. It's very hard to get, but if you cannot get it, get Sublime Wrist Guards. But this is really your BIS. Like, it has very big spell damage, and it has maybe it's actually a stamina win, so it's a huge BIS for PvP. For your chest, I'm not gonna lie, this is never going to happen, and the best piece you can get is actually Knight's Captain Satin Tunic. I know I said Robes of Prophecy is interesting because of the stamina, but here you lose 1 stamina for also getting spell damage, which is going to help you in the long run, and you still have intellect. Here, for example, you have your Mantle of Prophecy, but the realistic thing is you're still going to play with your PvP Chivalrous as well, which is rank 10. It has a bit more stamina, it has less intellect, but it has more spell damage, and it's going to open up into the tier pieces. Like, again, we have 4 piece, which is going to give you increase the duration of your Psychic Scream spell by 1. And ideally you want to have a 6 piece, so I'm going to show you how you can get it. Then you have Shadow Grasp. Obviously here, those are really not bad, but the ideal is to get the Knight's Lunan Satin Hand Wraps. Again, it's not ideal because it's not rank 14, but it's 12 stamina, 5 intellect, which is lower than what we have, but it has 21 spell damage, and it will give you a chance to avoid to get interrupted while you're doing a Mind Blast, which is very important for you. And also open up to the 6 piece that you would like to go for anyways. So we get the gloves. I'm going to keep the belt, but I'm going to be realistic. Most likely it's going to be Sash of Whispered Secrets, because this is going to happen anyways. Here we have Sentinel Silk leggings, which are very good leggings. The Exalted is going to be very tough. Like, chances are you're not going to get Exalted in Warstone Gulch in phase 2. But I would say the best alternative bis wise is to get like the 6 piece with Knights, Captains, Satins, Laggards, which is going to give you even more stamina. And boom, because the foresight is not accounted to the EP, obviously. Here, if you get the stamina, it's giving you 20 stamina increase in EP, so it will be very close to Sentinel Silk Leggings. Here you have 23 stamina, but it stops there. Here you get to 19 plus 20 because you get the 6 piece, which is not bad. You have also spell damage, which is also going to be quite good. This is like a good standalone if for some reason you're not rank 11 after getting exalted on Wars on Gods, which should not really happen. But anyways, you're not rank 10 or rank 8 because it's rank 8, and you are exalted. Then just take Sentinel Silk until you can have a 6 piece. Why not? And then you have the boots, which are very good boots. There are no boots coming close to the amount of stamina you get from it, except Boots of Prophecy, but you don't get spell damage, and here you do get spell damage. And you don't forget you have a 6 piece, which is stamina, so you have to wear it if you want to. And those are the bis if you really want to be like destroying people in PvP. And then ideal, ideal, you have also your buffs on, so you have, for example, Powered Fortitude, you have Inner Fire on yourself, and that's it. You could also have scrolls, you also can have potions or whatnot, but I'm going to be realistic. You're going to die most likely in PvP, so you're not going to be fully buffed every single time. But obviously that is the amount of health you will get, 4.4k and 5.2k mana, which is a bit lower than what we had before, but you have a crazy amount of 435 spell damage, shadow spell damage. This is like your ultimate bis. If you can get it and you can get this is going to be the best possible build going on. It's going to give you a lot of damage. It's going to give you a lot of possibilities. You could always improve it even more by taking other pieces, for example, Cauterizing Bind, to get like even more stamina and intellect. You could also get like, again, Shulker of Firelord. If you can get it, that's great. If you cannot get it, Shulker of Enlightenment is also a very good piece. Or Beads of Ogre Maojo, like I said, is also a very good piece. This is really going to be nasty. Like every single time you're going to do a Mind Blast, Shadow Word Pain, Mind Flay, it's going to delete people. So again, this is like the video. I think the video is long enough. I'm very happy that I made this video. It's 51 minutes, but hopefully you did learn something. Excuse me, you cannot really see everything on my screen because I'm dumb. So here we have the bis for PvP. I'm going to put a note on the description so you can see. So this is the bis. So we have Knights Lieutenant, Sash of Whispered Secrets, Knights Captain Satin Laggards, and then if you're doing the pre-bis, the pre-PvP, I think it's this one. This is the pre-PvP. You will have a lot less spell damage, but you have a great amount of health, great amount of mana, so you're going to be effective at what you're doing. So I really like this this build as well. Be sure to let me know what you think. Again, if you think you have a better like gear planner for yourself, please let me know. Again, the EP doesn't really matter if you know what pieces you want to go for, but this kind of helps you indicate what your priorities can be if you're getting into PvP. Again, you can also go for a full Necropile set, which gives you a lot of stamina, but will have less spell damage overall. For example, Necropile Robe is really good for PvP, so again, a lot of options. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.